Hi, I'm Chick Henry, proud recipient of the Rare Spares Legend Award. You know, I've built quite a few cars over the years, and I know what it takes to build a full restoration or build an award-winning show car that's more like a piece of automotive art. And you know what? I wish I'd had access to professional advice and instruction on how to fit some of the parts I needed. But now, through the Rare Spares Shed Talk series, we're proud to bring you the latest information on products and the best installation techniques for you. So keep an eye on the Rare Spares website, and on behalf of Rare Spares, we're so proud to be able to bring you the Shed Talk series to help you build a fantastic car and enjoy your motoring passion.
Shed Talk, brought to you by Rare Spares.
Welcome to Shed Talk, brought to you by Rare Spares. Today I'm going to take you through the process of fitting a quarter vent rubber in an XY Falcon. XR through to XY quarter vents are the same. So to start with, you need to squash the nut on the end of the quarter vent to make it round. They're actually squashed out of shape. If you don't do that, you may snap the shaft off undoing the nut. Alright, then you grab the quarter vent, go back to the bench, and then using the spanner to undo the nut. Now some of these nuts have got rust on them. You may need a wire brush to clean the thread. And sometimes you've got to squash it fairly correct, otherwise the spanner won't go on there. Now most times the best thing is to use a brand new nylock nut. Put anti-seize on the thread when you're reassembling. So by doing this you place everything in order as the way it came off. So you've got some reference to come back with. You've got a small plastic washer just here too, which you sit on top of the spring so you know where they're going to start with. So then you grab a Phillips head screwdriver and undo the screws on the quarter vent itself. So once you get to this stage, you need to take the last of the screws out. Then you can then mark the washer on the shaft into the quarter vent. Using a texter, just gives you reference as to which way it's going to go up and down. So once that's done and you've unlatched it, it should come out. And you can see the washer is in there, plus the steel cam on top of it. So once you've pulled that out, you put that in line 2. And there's the nylon washer that sits on top of the steel cam. So now you can clean up the quarter vent chrome as well as the frame and pull the rubber out. You do need to actually put a drill in the back end of these rivets in the rubber. So once you drill the back of it out on the pillar, it's time to remove the last of the rubber and take the metal strip out of the back of the quarter vent assembly. Now it's time to clean the frame completely of dust and other bits and pieces. So once it's time to fit the rubber in the frame, I strongly suggest a very small smear of grease, just so long as it's actually going to help the rubber go into the frame. It's a bit of a fiddly job, you can't be in a hurry, but the thing is, this has to be in place correct, otherwise it's never going to work. So to see this tip of the nose of the rubber with that flap pulled back, you can see the edge. It's got to go into the frame correct. It's difficult sometimes, time consuming. It's a matter of just keep persevering until you get the thing to sit in the right spot. It's a matter then of coming along the rest of the quarter vent rubber and making sure that's going to clip into the frame itself. In some cases, when you push into place and they're fiddly, you can hear an audible click as the rubber, like that, when it falls behind the actual quarter vent itself in the metal. So by placing the rubber into one side of the C-section, the rubber's got to go behind the edge, and you'll hear a small click as it runs into place. So when you get to the back of the quarter vent, you can see now this is actually getting a bit tight in the other corner. So again, don't be in a huge desperate hurry, and don't bend this part either, because it's got to sit right in the quarter vent. So by using a pushing motion, you can get this rubber to sit in place fairly well, and you can come back over it if need be. Sometimes a rocking motion will help as well. And by grabbing the edge of the rubber, you'll see this is not in place yet. The small click, that's in place. That's going easy now. And when it's in place correctly, the rubber will sit flat in the frame. That's one edge is basically in place now. So with these quarter vent rubbers, they don't take 5 minutes, and as you can see, sometimes they're difficult, but more importantly, spend the time and make sure it's going to be set correctly. Because if you don't, again, the whole lot won't look nice when you put it in the car, and they won't seal either. So as you go, you can pull the rubber back to see the rubber sitting on the edge of the frame. And as always, again, it's not 5 minutes, so take your time. So double checking the outside edges. The other thing is to be very wary of the metal insert that's in the back of the quarter vent rubber, because the small rivets are meant to go through the frame that you're going to peen over on the inside edge. So once you get to this stage, you have to actually peen these rivets over in the frame to hold the back of the rubber in the quarter vent. So when it's time to put the quarter vent glass in the frame, grab the cam. Now they're usually a bit difficult to try and get into position. Again, don't be in a hurry. And you can push the glass quarter vent assembly forward. So once it's on that position, then you put the plastic washer over the pin too, over the thread. So once you've actually got the washers in place with the plastic washer on the bottom, you can open the quarter vent and see if it's going to actually open. So the cam is around the right way. So once it opens freely, it's then time to put the hinge screws in place and then assemble the springs and the nuts on the bottom. And just nip these up. They don't need to be super tight, but they can't be loose. So once that's in position, you can put the rest of it together. So the plastic washer first, then the spring, the metal washer, which goes one way because they've cut out in the washer. So once you've tensioned the nut, the quarter vent opens and closes with a bit of resistance, because if it's too loose, the thing's going to float around when you're on the car. So put the catch down and then squeeze the nut again in the vise. So it's really a case of give it a bit of a squeeze . So once you've crimped the nut to make sure it's not going to come undone, and you're happy with the way the rubber's sitting around the actual quarter vent, it's time to put the quarter vent assembly back in the car. So it's another quality part by Rare Spares.
On behalf of Rare Spares, I hope we will be of value to you and your car building passion.
Shit Talk, brought to you by Rare Spares.